Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. Today I'm working on some quilting designs for the 2 improved 9-patch quilts that I had picked up last month. And I'm going to be quilting each one different. They're different sizes. This is the one with the larger blocks, and this is the one with the smaller blocks. And you can compare those and see the difference between this block and this block here. So they are different sizes. But I'm going to demonstrate on the larger block because I think it'll be easier for you to see. And I am using a dry erase marker on my tablecloth plastic, and this is by the marker board people, but you can use any kind of dry erase marker that you find. It doesn't really matter. You can use an Expo marker. This one is an ultra low odor. That's why I like this one, and I think I picked these up at either Hobby Lobby or Joann's at some point. Now I went ahead and came up with a paper pattern on my computer. This is done in a Word document. I'm going to start with a kind of a bullseye look here. This is something that you could do if you're really good at circles, or if you have circle templates, or you have some kind of a feature with your machine that will do circles for you. You can do this fairly easily. This is one that I'm not going to do because I don't want to be handling a lot of templates. You'd have to have several different sizes of templates, and even though I do have a gadget that will help me do circles, I'd be working from the back of the machine, and I really do not like working from the back of my machine, so I'm going to eliminate this design right away. But it is pretty effective, and when you get out to these ovals where they're overlapping, like when you start over on this side, you would still just overlap your circles like this. So you'd get a cross-hatching effect here. But that would give you a really graphic quilt. You have a lot of movement in that quilt, and I think it would be really effective. So if circles are something you like to quilt, that's a good option. Now if you want something a little more traditional, you could just do your cross-hatching, and you could leave it like that. You could also cross-hatch your center. One thing I want to point out, these are not lined up really well. This is more of a rectangle than a square, and so when I cross-hatch something, I'm going to cross-hatch from point to point, and even though this isn't going to give me a straight line from here to here, it's going to be straight within this piece, and it'll look correct. It won't look off. And I learned that early on. One of the first quilts I did for a customer was kind of wonky in the piecing, and there were a lot of 9 patches in there, and I learned to really fast to just go point to point so that it would look well. Now you could also extend this out to this point here and then cross-hatch across here. And please excuse the noise. My family is upstairs and the floor creaks when they walk on it. So there you have that look. Now you can also do continuous curve. And these are all pretty basic designs here. These are things that you can pick up pretty easily. And I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to try and get around this without stopping. And then go like this towards the middle. And it doesn't quite work all the way. I think I'd have to stop and start on this one, but then we could do the outside. If you practice this a couple times, you'll probably figure out how to get all the way around without stopping and starting. And that's a really nice center for that. So I'm just going to concentrate on the center for a little bit here. Okay, if you want, you can kind of follow this design. I mean, you don't have to do a complete outline stitch like this. If you want to, you certainly can, but you could also cut it off like this if you want. Either way looks good, I think. And you have that. You could also just, and then for these pieces you could kind of tack them down a little bit with the back and forth motion. And this will make the solid fabric recede and make your floral fabric, your printed fabric, pop a little bit more. And you can also leave those unquilted if you want and just do this back and forth stitching in your solid fabrics and leave your floral fabrics as they are. You can also, in this one, you could do a little bit of line dancing like this in here, in those points. And then you could do just maybe a continuous curve around this section here. And if you wanted, you could also do it here. Like that. Now do something a little bit special in your pointed section here. Your little, I don't know what shape this would be. It's an elongated triangle of some sort. You do something like that. And then another thing, if you want to do the outline stitch, it would look like this. You could do the meander. Just follow your stitch or your ditch. To get across to the other side. And you'd have that. And you can also do that all the way around the outside if you wanted. Okay, if you want to do the circle thing that I showed earlier but not use a lot of templates, you could just do the spiral. And when you do this, you kind of get a motion going and it just works. It'll work out fine. And you can do that through just this section, or you could do it throughout your whole block and make that as the distance as far as you want it. It could be very narrow, it could be very far. But that's another way to do that bullseye type effect without using a circle feature on your machine. Okay, if you want to look at this, I'm going to make my points here. These are kind of the centers of these blocks here, and I'm going to use those as a guide. And I'm going to make a curved design here. And what you could do is use this as a kind of a point that you want to hit. Like this one, I did not hit it very well, so let's try it again. Like that. And then you could add, here you could do, on these sections here, you could just kind of echo that. And you can echo that up as far as you want, or do some other kind of a filler in here. And then this piece here, let's see if I can hit the centers. And there you go. It's just 1, 2, 3 lines of stitching. But that looks pretty nice. And then on here you could also just kind of do a continuous curve on here. Or you could come in and do a loop. Something like that. Okay, if we wanted to, let's see, I'm going to do a spiral in the center. Kind of fill that section. And then for the outside, I'm going to kind of come down like this. Now to quilt this, I wouldn't be stopping and starting like I'm doing now. I would do this continuously all the way around, more like this, and try to keep this quilting line one on top of the other. And then you can come in and do an extra line of quilting and just follow your ditch around. Like that. It's a little bit more of a modern design. That's not something you would probably see on a vintage top. Vintage quilt, one that's been completely quilted. Now you can also do a feather in here if you want. Just find your center, what you don't want quilted, and then you can make your feathers go out, you can make them come in, however you'd like to do that. I don't know that I would, with the way I quilt, I don't know that making the feathers come out would look as good, but let's see if I can do something here. And I'm drawing these feathers pretty fat, but you don't have to make them this fat. But you would have your circle here, and then for the outside, if you wanted, you could fill these in like this, if you wanted. That, I think I would, let me try this. And use any style of feather that you like. There you go. So you can get them to fit in there if they are, and that would look okay too. That would be a lot of quilting, and would kind of hide your piecing, so you'd have to consider that. You could also do these ovals, and I like to do these sometimes when especially if I have larger 4 patches, it will take up a lot of space and fill in the area really well. And these are like crossed canoes, if you've ever seen that quilt block. And then you could do that. And you could quilt something else in your floral spots, your printed pieces, or you could just leave them alone and let them showcase themselves. And let's see, let me show you one more, and then we'll go on to the ovals here. If you like, if you really like circles, I'm going to draw 2 circles here, and then do a small one here. And then you could do, could do a row of circles in here. Make them fairly large to fill in the space. Just make them whatever size it's going to take to fill in your space here. And then you have something like that. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.